For these last two examples of solving by combination or elimination, we're going to need to multiply both of the equations by some value in order to make one of the letters cancel out. And we can choose. So on number 5, I could choose to make the x's cancel, or I could choose to make the y's cancel. And it really doesn't make a difference which one we choose. I'm going to choose to make the x's cancel. I tend to pick the ones with the smaller numbers. And we need to pick the common multiple of 5 and 3. So one way you can do it is just to multiply. 5 times 3 is 15. That won't always give you the smallest number. In this case it does. To always get the smallest number, you could count by 5s, count by 3s, and which is the smallest number they have in common. So I know that I can make these both turn into 15. But one of them would have to be positive 15, and the other would have to be negative 15 to make them cancel. And it doesn't matter which one you make positive, which one you make negative. So let's make the top one be positive. So then I would need to multiply this by positive 3. So we get 3 times 5x is, there's my positive 15x. And I just keep multiplying. 3 times negative 4y is negative 12y, equal sign. And then 3 times 26 is 78. So then if I made that top equation be positive 15, then I need the bottom one to be the negative 15. So then I have to multiply this whole equation by negative 5. So negative 5 times 3x, there's my negative 15x. Negative 5 times negative 6 is positive 30y. And negative 5 times positive 3 is going to be negative 15. Okay, so now we can add these equations together. Positive 15x plus negative 15x, that makes 0. So those cancel out or they're eliminated. That was our goal. Negative 12y plus 30y is going to be an 18y is equal to 78 plus negative 15 is 63. And then we just solve the one-step equation. So we divide both sides by 18. And we get y is equal to 3.5. So now we found the first part of our answer. So we know that our y value is going to be 3.5. And then this is, now using the substitution is the only other way to do this. Well, the easiest way. We could repeat the process but make the y's cancel, but that's a lot more work. So the easier way to do it is now just to use substitution. So I can go back to, I have 4 different equations now. I tend not to use these ones just because they tend to be bigger equations. I tend to like to use one of the original equations. So let's go ahead and use let's use this one here because that one's a little bit smaller. So smaller numbers. We have 3x minus 6y equals 3. And then what we're going to do is we're going to plug in the y value that we found. So we found that y was 3.5. So 3x minus 6, but instead of 6 times y, it's going to be 6 times 3.5, because that's our y value, is equal to 3. And then we can simplify. We're just going to do 6 times 3.5, and we get 21. And then I can add 21 to both sides to start solving this equation. 3x is equal to 24. Then we divide both sides by 3. And we get x equals 8. So now we have the second part of our answer. So the complete answer for this problem is going to be the point 8, 3.5, or 3.5. So if I had graphed these, this would be the ordered pair where those two lines would have crossed. Okay, number 6, we're going to do something similar. I can either make the x's cancel or I can make the y's cancel. And again, I'm going to choose the x just because they're smaller numbers. So if I count by threes, count by twos, 3, 6, 9, 2, 4, 6. So the first number they have in common is 6, or I can just multiply 2 times 3 is 6. So I need to make one of these positive 6 and one negative 6. Let's make the top one the positive. So I'm going to multiply by 2. So 2 times 3x is 6x. 2 times negative 5y is negative 10y. And then don't forget to multiply that last number also. 2 times 15 is 30. And then, so if we made that top one positive 6x, then we need this bottom one to be negative. So we're going to multiply by negative 3. Negative 3 times 2x, there's my negative 6x. Negative 3 times 4y is negative 12y. Negative 3 times negative 1 is positive 3. Then I can add my two equations together. Positive 6, negative 6 makes 0, or they're eliminated. Negative 10y plus negative 12y is negative 22y. And that is equal to positive 33. Divide both sides by the negative 22. And we end up with y is equal to negative 1.5, or negative 1.5. So the first part of our answer. And then again, we could repeat the process but make the y's cancel if you want to. I'm going to choose to use substitution now to finish out this question. So I'm going to take either of the equations, it really doesn't matter. I'm going to choose this one here just because they're smaller numbers. So that's the 2x plus 4y is equal to negative 1. And I'm going to plug in negative 1.5 in place of that y. So we get 2x plus 4 times negative 1.5. And we're going to simplify. So we get 4 times negative 1.5 is negative 6. I'm going to add 6 to both sides. Negative 1 plus 6 is 5. Divide by 2. So then our x value then is going to equal 2.5. So now we have a second answer. Second part of our answer. So now we have our final answer. The x value is 2.5. The y value is negative 1.5. So again, graphically, this is where those two lines would cross. Algebraically, if I took these values, x is 2.5, y is negative 1.5, and I plug it into both the first and second equation, we're going to get a true statement. So again, to review all of this lesson, sometimes one of your variables will already cancel. Other times you have to multiply one or both equations by something to make them cancel. And then to get your second value, the easiest way is to just use substitution and substitute in that one value to solve for your second value.